G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Adventure News for March 2024. This is going to be a short and sweet episode as it is a quieter month, which gives us a bit of breathing room, but there's still some fantastic stories to get into. BMW are planning an R12GS focusing on lightweight. Is it the second coming of the BMW HP2 Enduro, or will it be a road bike in a pretty dress? KTM have also bought a controlling stake in MV Agusta, which has huge implications for the market. And lastly, I want to talk about the Svartpilen 801. So let's get into all the good stuff.
Start it up.
BMW have confirmed that they are working on an R12GS with an air-cooled boxer twin for the global market. Spy shots have popped up of this bike. This isn't exactly a new story in itself. We've seen this bike in spy shot iterations over the last couple of years. But what is interesting is that a lot of media articles are reporting that we should see this bike in production form at the end of this year. From the spy shots, it looks like we've got a 21-inch front wheel and a 17-inch rear wheel. Reports are also coming out that this could have at least 200 to 250 mil of clearance, which is well in the ballpark of capable adventure bikes. The boxer twin that BMW is using here is pretty much the same power specs as the old HP Enduro. So we're looking at 109 horsepower and 115 newton meters of torque, which is a fantastic combination of power specs. It's also expected that we could see this bike at the end of the year at the big motorcycle shows. What are BMW trying to achieve here? Is this going to be just a slightly more off-road capable R9T GS, which, let's face it, was basically cosmetic changes to make it look like a scrambler, but it really had no place in the dirt? Or is this going to be a reimagining of the BMW HP2 Enduro, which in my opinion was one of BMW's best offerings in the adventure bike market? So is there anything to suggest which way BMW are heading here? Are they going for the R9T fancy scrambler with no off-road capability, or are they going full HP2 Enduro? In the spy shots, it looks like they've got two different versions here as well. You can see one's got the lower mudguard. It looks much more road-based. And then you've got the one with the very high front mudguard. That is very reminiscent, in my opinion, of the HP2. I'm hoping that BMW answers both sides of the markets here, offering a hardcore off-road version with more dirt capability, as well as more of a scrambler-based version which has some dirt capability, but is leaning more towards the road-based stuff and might be a little more affordable. So it'd be great if they split it up like that, because then I think everybody wins rather than focusing on one model and excluding one subset of buyers. The interesting thing about this confirmation that gets me a little bit excited is that BMW Motorrad's chief has said they're working on a lighter BMW R12GS. So what is encouraging in that sentence is BMW are focusing on the weight. And this matches a trend that they've really been hitting hard lately. With the release of the BMW F900GS, they dropped weight over the outgoing 850, which was amazing. Then they followed that up with the same results for the BMW R1300GS being lighter than the outgoing 1250. So BMW have been focusing on dropping weight. So I think those criticisms are working their way back to the motorcycle behemoth, that we want lighter weight, more manageable motorcycles, because it is getting a bit silly in the adventure bike spectrums. What do you think BMW are going to do here? Do you think we're just going to get another slightly modified BMW R9T? Do you think we're going to get the second coming of the BMW HP Enduro? Or will BMW do what I think is going to happen and release two models, one that's more road-based and one that does actually pay homage to the original HP2 Enduro? Love to know your thoughts, so chuck them down below. Big news for the industry as a whole. KTM now have a controlling stake of MV Agusta. Yes, they've upped their acquisition from 25.1% to 50.1%, which means they have the controlling stake in MV Agusta. So all decisions now go through KTM. This really could go a couple of ways, and there's a few scenarios I could see here. One I really hope doesn't happen, and that's that KTM just turn MV Agusta into another branch of KTM. So we have 4 different colored KTMs, because we've already got Gas, Husqvarana and KTM, so you can get your Enduros in whatever color you like. I really hope they don't do that to MV Agusta. And I think that less likely than the second scenario, which is what I think's happening by the looks of the way they're moving and shaking. First off, since KTM entered and started helping out and streamlining everything for MV Agusta, for the first time in a very long time, MV Agusta aren't looking at financial ruin, and they're actually looking at making their first net profit in a decent amount of time. So that's very positive. It shows that KTM moving in and being able to help in the background with the weight of their industry power and knowledge has really helped MV Agusta out. KTM's plans are to move into the industrial production of the MV Agustas, as well as looking at increasing annual production and sticking with MV Agusta's current production facility in Italy, which I think is really important. What I hope happens and what looks to be happening is KTM is moving into MV Agusta, getting rid of everything that doesn't work and is leading them down the wrong path, and is strengthening and focusing on everything that makes MV Agusta great. And I really want to see that happen, because I don't want to see this brand go the way of Benelli or Moto Moroni, these fantastic bespoke Italian brands that get bought out by a big Chinese company and they just pump out cheap crap that is in no way, shape or form anything to do with what the brand used to be. And as long as they stick on the path of making everything great about MV Agusta stick around and getting rid of what didn't work to keep them financially viable, because if MV Agusta's got anything, it's brand identity. People love the bikes, they're special machines, they are aesthetically pleasing, really striking bikes on paper and in the flesh. Now let's move to the Lucky Strike 5.5, which the CEO of the Pierre Mobility Group really didn't like, and he wanted the MV Agusta 5.5 to be gone, and I think this is a smart move. Now this might ruffle a little bit of feathers, but the 5.5 is basically a Benelli TRK 502, which is a completely Chinese motorcycle with a Benelli badge on it. Now, why is that a bad thing for MV Agusta? The bike, there's nothing particularly wrong with the motorcycle. It's a nice, affordable little adventure bike. But MV Agusta does halo special Italian motorcycles. Just like you don't go to Ferrari to get an affordable hatchback, it would completely destroy the brand identity. So I agree with the CEO of the Pierre Mobility Group that that is a silly move and that it should be axed. Let CF Moto produce it, let Benelli produce it. You can already get it in multiple different variants from various Chinese manufacturers. There's no need to put an MV Agusta badge on it. But that's just my take. It might be a bit out there. I'd love to know your thoughts on the matter. Hopefully MV Agusta scrap it and look to making their own lightweight adventure bike with proper off-road performance and all the special fizziness that comes with the Italian company. Sticking with KTM, we've got the Husqvarana Svartpilen 801. I had high hopes for this motorcycle that it really would focus on its scrambler attributes and would still have some off-road capability, given that it's basically got the heart of the 790 Adventure. So it would have been great to see a trimmed down bare bones version of the KTM 790 Adventure in a scrambler format, but that looks not to be the case. We've got cast 17 wheels all around, so that is a big statement that this is a road-only machine. Not only that, it looks like they've dialed back the looks a little more road-based. They're leaning more into that naked bike look. It's still a decent looking motorcycle, and if you're looking for a road-based bike with that KTM 790 parallel twin engine, this might be a great move, because the Svartpilens tend to be quite an affordable motorcycle in Husqvarna's lineup. So affordability wise, you could look at this as a half-price Super Duke in a lot of ways. But ultimately, of course, I would have liked to have seen Husqvarna lean more towards the scrambler aspect of this motorcycle rather than full road bike with a Svartpilen 801, but I'd love to know your thoughts. So that's it for this short and sweet episode of Adventure News. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And as always, don't forget to stay shiny side up.